Hello and welcome to Transformation Now. Hi, I'm Rita, rocker, speaker, author, trainer with SoaringHigher.rocks. Happy to be with you today, and I'm continuing on talking about things smart job seekers do. But really, a lot of this information is not only for job seeking, but also for anything in life, any kind of relationship. These are a lot of important points in there too, or important points that you can help someone else who you know is looking for a job and give them some pointers, some tips. Maybe even you might be so skilled at it that you could start doing coaching for people who need career skills, career building skills. So think of that as well. And so the first one, and I mentioned this at the end of the last program, is realize a potential lead could be anywhere. So yes, you go to LinkedIn, you go to Alignable, places like that, and with LinkedIn especially, you can network. There are a ton of different kinds of programs on there, different kind of groups on there. So, start scanning for a particular group that you want to be in just about any career endeavor. So you can start following them and always try to work towards giving them tips and goals, knowledge, experience that you've had, and start sharing it with them. Then they start following you. So, always be positive. I've just checked out LinkedIn again yesterday, and some people are putting in their political comments, which, yes, people do that on Facebook and the other ones. Kind of get a little nasty too. But LinkedIn is definitely a place for business building, career building, networking, and positive relationships. Alignable, there is a fee for that one if you want to really get involved in it, but it's people meeting each other, networking, making the kind of contacts that they need in order to get the right job, get the right connections to go forward in your life. So think about that. And so job leads, again, could be anywhere, including, like I mentioned, other people that you will meet, as long as they're the positive people. If anybody starts saying, why are you doing this, you can't do that, you've never had that experience, then you just kind of smile and walk away, and that's it, okay? You don't want to listen to them, because the last thing we need, especially in times like now, is naysayers. So look for the positive people, be a positive person, and help each other. I'm all about helping each other, especially right now. So the next one is surf job boards for more than just open positions. So what you can do is, it doesn't have to look for open positions that are on there, but also look for those key words, because if you see some other words in coaching and development, and it could be business development, it could be sales, it could be whatever you are interested in. Put in some of those keywords and see what pops up, because there probably will be companies in there that you go, oh, I would have never thought. Never heard of this company. I didn't know that. And so think about that. Think about positive ways that you can connect in there. Find other companies with those keywords, and then you go, oh, gosh, I'm going to have to apply at this company. Look at this. They have everything I have. It's the same culture I want, and it's the same type of work I want to do, whatever the case may be. So check out LinkedIn, check out Alignable, check out Indeed.com. You can put your resume on there. I've done a lot of resumes, and I know how important it is to really be able to get the right words in there that the company is looking for. Again, in a case like this, it's not about you at all. It's what you can provide for them. So we have to think, okay, this is all about them. What can I offer them that's true, that will be what they are looking for in an employee and a representative for the company? Sometimes people stretch the truth a little too much, and then if there's any kind of trying to get a reference from this person, it's like, oh, okay, did they work here? Oh yeah, I guess, okay. So always think about what they're going to say. If you're getting references from someone too. That's pretty touchy nowadays. And a lot of times all the companies can say anyway is, these are the dates that they worked, and that's it. So all that does is verify that you actually did work there for that amount of time. So again, you don't want to say, oh, I worked here, and give dates like show that you've been there 5 years and you were there like 5 months. That does happen. And so be careful with that too. Study online. Look for ways that you can learn more skills that would apply to this particular position. But they have to match pretty closely. So if you think, oh, I want to do this, but out of the 10 requirements they have the skills or whatever they're looking for, I have like 2. Okay, that's not going to work, no matter how much you want it to. You can build and learn those skills and then go back and look for when they might have another opening down the road. But people have to be really careful because there's a lot of embellishing going on with what they're putting on their resumes that's really not true, and they can get caught. And so always think about that. Put in the adequate time and effort into your application. And most things are done online now. It used to be that you went into the company and you filled out an application, and it could be a lengthy one. And it's like, good Lord, now I went to another company, I've got to fill out another lengthy application because that's what they have and that's what they want also. So yes, it was getting pretty tedious. Most of the time now it is online, and there are still some staffing firms. I was in a staffing firm for several years and worked on recruiting and worked on training for some of the skills that they would need. But a lot of that is no longer. But you can look up for staffing firms, and there are some that can actually look for the right job for you to get into. So, make sure you look those up too and see. But always know that you are a brand. We are all a brand. What kind of brand are we? Are we a positive, motivated brand? Are we a negative one? Are we too shy? We have a bad, attitude or no confidence? Do we look like we just rolled out of bed? So again, ask yourself that. Look at yourself in the mirror, and you can ask 2 or 3 trusted, not negative people, but trusted people. Could even be like a counselor, a coach, somebody that you can guarantee is an honest person, and ask them for tips. What would you suggest that I do differently as far as my appearance, the way I'm communicating with people? What would you suggest that I need to do to learn? And I've done lots of those programs. I'm always happy to help you with that. But think about that as far as we can never get across, away from, I'm a brand. What kind of brand am I? Am I the kind of brand name that people will remember? So many foods and drinks and everything, it's a brand, and they put something with it that people will always remember. And so think about that. People will remember you too by the brand that you're exhibiting about who you are and what you do. So think about, always, again, compare your job skills with other requirements that they may be listing so that it is a good match. Because sometimes we can overstep, and I just have to have this job, and it's like, oh, but I only have 2 of the 10, skills that they're looking for. So there's where you might take a step up to learn those skills and then go to that. So always think about that. Correspondence should be free of errors and typos. I remember when I was giving, it was actually about 2 days worth of seminar training to a large recruiting company, and they had me come in because their recruiters were talking to directors who are pretty far up, or managers, people like that, and they were typing emails to them like they would be texting a friend, running on sentences, not capitalization and punctuation, and sometimes not the best grammar. And it's like they were giving a really negative impression to the companies who wanted to use them to find employees for them. And a lot of these were more in like blue collar areas as well. And it's like, our employees, because I talked to the owner who I'd worked with before, and it's like, our employees can't keep doing this. And so I went in there to work with them on their writing skills, their communication skills, how they present themselves, or if they were going out to the company to meet and work with them on the types of employees that they need, that they would be a positive brand for the recruiting company. So you want to make sure everything is good. You can have someone else look at your material and make sure that there's not a bunch of typos, that it's correct sentences and everything that's necessary in there. So that's important to look at the kind of packet. And so if you have material that could be included in a short portfolio, you want to do that too. And that could be, you know, if you're in design, like I talked to a man, he's retired now as an architect, but I was just like blown away by the portfolio he had. So yes, when you're younger, you know, you can show people the portfolio that you have then, even if it's things that you did in school. If you're a younger person, that will be a benefit to them. So if there's certain designs, certain letters of commendation, anything that would be helpful to add, put in a little portfolio of just some of the accomplishments that you have. Maybe a few pictures you can put on a just like a one sheet, something like that. You don't want a whole book. A one sheet is fine, where you have the most important points on there. Pictures are always good because they're visual, and that can also lend to your credibility. So always put the time in that. Do your homework again. Know something about the potential employers. I can't tell you how many times, and I've read this as well as experience, people would come in and, you know, why do you want this job? What attracted you to this job? And people would literally sit there kind of confused and go, I need a job? Really? Okay, you need a job. They didn't know anything about the company itself, nothing about the culture, nothing about really, you know, that much about the products and the services. They just needed a J-O-B job. And so you always want to look. And if culture is huge, I learned that quite quickly, that you can have all the skills and abilities that a company is looking for, but if they're real stuffy and very, you know, chin lifted up, the suits, and you're kind of you want to have fun, you have a great personality, you love being around people, being creative, then are you going to like working there? No. And so culture is everything. If you are applying for a particular company where they have certain jargon, certain terms that are pertinent to that type of work, use that jargon, but you don't want to use terms with another kind of company that maybe doesn't have any idea what you're talking about. So always think about that too, as far as industry jargon stays in that industry. You don't want to try to impress people with other words you may know, but they don't have a clue what they are. Another one is employers do their homework too, and boy, do they ever. You know, it used to be so much when you didn't have all this media, social media, they couldn't do that as much. They had to rely mostly on references, like reference phone calls or maybe a reference letter. Well, now they can pretty much find out anything. You Google your name. You Google your name and you see what's on it, because you might go, oh my gosh, I don't want them to see this. This is going to be negative on me. See if you can get it removed. But you Google your name. What do you have on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever? What do you have on there? Because time and time again, someone was being considered for a job, a good job, and they were qualified for it. But then, like one lady, you know, she had been drunk one night, I guess, and wearing a tank top, and she had a bottle of beer stuck, you know, in her shirt. That was on Facebook. And so when the recruiter was checking her out on Facebook, it's like, no, we don't want somebody like that working for our company, and then maybe going out and acting silly and doing things that we don't want to be connected with. And so always check what you have, LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, any of them, because that can make or break you right there. And so think about that. I remember when I worked for a computer aggregator company, and there was a young lady, she had gotten out of college, she was working with them because they were kind of like training her, and this was going to be a really good position for her. She was very smart, she was very qualified, but at the Christmas party, she wore a very low-cut dress with a big tattoo of a rose in a place that she was exposing to everybody, and they said, no. And so they let her go because of that. So again, people will make judgments about all kinds of things. When I was younger, and there was this guy, he was a musician by night, but he was a hairdresser by day. and he was cutting my hair one time, and he said, you know what I look for first in a woman? And I was expecting a crude answer. And I said, no, what? And he said, her teeth and her hands, because I know if her teeth and her hands are well taken care of, she cares a lot about who she is and what she does. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Of course, this applies to men too. But it's kind of like people will notice those things. They will notice, or the nails a dirty mess, or in the summer when we're wearing sandals, it's like, oh gosh, what, ooh. When I talked to the finance students at UNO one time, and it was like, okay, you guys want to work in finance industry? You're going to have to perk it up a little. Well, our professor said it didn't matter how we look. Well, no, not so much in school, but their attitude had grown from that to, appearance isn't really that important as long as we have our education. Oh, yes, you're going to work with someone's money, someone's business, and you look like you could be, you're just rolling out of bed, mowing the lawn. They will not trust you with their money if they look at the way you look then. So people will judge how good of an employee we're going to be, how good of a representative we will be by how we look, how we speak, how we act, all of those things. So want to remember that too. And doing our homework, Googling your name, removing anything that might at all be a bad impression for a potential company that you want to work for. Another one is make your value known quickly. Because again, it takes about 3 seconds to look over a resume, just scan it very quickly, whether this person wants to interview you or not. There's what I've heard before is kind of like a obligated 5-minute interview. And these are the ones where people already have made almost an instant decision. No, I am not interested in this person, but they have to go through a few minutes of an interview so the person can't come back and be angry about, well, they didn't even give me time to talk to them. But they've already made the judgment. So you want to think about that. In that first 7 seconds of meeting someone, like I've mentioned before, people are judging us by our self-esteem, our economical, educational levels, trustworthiness, social position, future success, how competent we think we are. We know what our attitudes are in those first 7 seconds. And they will decide within those first 7 seconds, a lot of times it's incorrect too, whether they want to talk to you or not. And I remember meeting a lady and I thought, the way she appeared was, I really didn't have much, to say as far as what she was applying for, but then I realized she was a brilliant woman. That was just the way she looked. But people will make judgments in those first few seconds. So we want to be open, we want to be professional. I've got a whole program on that too, but be careful because again, people will judge us. Like I've mentioned before, the first 20 seconds of talking with someone, people will decide, oh, this person's interesting. They have a positive, motivated tone in their voice. They sound ambitious. They sound engaged. They sound motivated. I want to talk to them some more. Or they go after the first 20 seconds, okay, thank you. It was very nice meeting you, but I need to go catch this person over there. And that happens a lot because of those quick judgments. It's very hard to correct those judgments once they've been made. Look and act like a professional. That means arriving on time, dresses appropriately, and even if it's a very casual company, you still want to dress appropriately. As I've seen people with, navel rings, bare bellies, sandals that were old and beat up, and, maybe hair halfway combed, whether it's male or female. No, we don't want to do that. And so think about that. I remember when I was moving and I was trying to find a good mover who would be careful with my furniture. And so the gentleman that came to the house owned the company at the time. He later sold it, but he owned the company at the time. And he did a lot of the moving himself. And his pickup truck was spotless. He had changed his clothes. He was all cleaned up. He had a very nice, new T-shirt on. He was just the ultimate professional in every way. How he looked, how his truck looked, his pickup truck, how he conducted himself. And I thought, that's exactly who I want to move my things. Because if he's doing this, I can trust him with my things. And so always think about that in the professionalism corner. They want to display confidence, manners, all that type of thing. So again, there's been people before, they would pick their ears, they would pick at their nails, and just, had like rings in here and rings everywhere, and rings on every finger, and it's distracting. I don't think a lot of people realize that what they see visually is very distracting. So it's hard for the other person to listen to what they're saying because they keep getting caught with that distracting appearance that they might have. Show them that you want the job is another one. They're looking for enthusiasm. They're looking for motivation. And so smart job seekers focus on the needs of the employer, not their needs, but the employer's needs. That's when the employers want, what can you do for me? How are you going to better my company and reputation? And demonstrate how they are perfect for that position. So again, the enthusiasm, always make certain that the company that you're interviewing with is your first choice, or at least you let them think it's your first choice. Maybe it's not. Maybe you've interviewed 3 and you'd rather have this other one over here. But to this hiring company, in case that one doesn't work right now, they're going to know that you're interested in them. And you're not like eye rolling, looking around the room, thinking of, oh gosh, this isn't really where I want to be, but I guess I better apply for it anyway. Another one is don't get ahead of yourself, and that could be dying to know about promotions. Sometimes people go in there, well, how much vacation, and how much am I going to make, and what are my opportunities for raises, and going up the ladder, and they're talking to the interviewer who's interviewing them for this position, but they want this one over here, and they let them know it right away. Are they going to get hired? Most likely not. Why? Because they're not really focused on the position that they're being hired for. They're focusing on, oh, but I want to do this over there. So you never want to do that and ask. It's just called jumping the gun. It's a false start, like a race. Sometimes before the little gun thing goes off, somebody will jump forward. It's a false start. Okay, so that's considered a false start when you want to try to find out about all these other things, when they just want to know, are you interested in this job here that we're talking about? So think about that. And landing the position first is most important. Usually, at least by the second interview, they will bring up, obviously, the salary and the things that are important, sometimes in the first interview. But you don't want to push it. You want to wait for them to bring it up. Because sometimes that alone will either say, yep, we want this person, or no, I don't think so. And then number 10 is ask for the position, follow up, and give a thank you note. And that is so true. Ask for that particular position. At the end of the interview, you can tell the interviewer how excited you are to contribute your financial, your coaching, your business development, whatever skill it is. You are really excited about providing them with that particular gift, talent, experience in their company, to build up their bottom line, to develop their business, to help people to get along better with each other, whatever the case may be. I've seen such positive comments sometimes about school janitors, and sometimes people would think, well, some of the best people in the world, they care about people, they're so loved. I've seen where a school even pooled together and somehow bought this janitor who had been walking, I think it was like 5 miles to and from work, a car, because they love this janitor so much. So always think about that too in following up, that you're excited about the position and that you want to contribute your skills and abilities to it. And then the smart interviewee will again follow up with a note and go from there. And like I've mentioned a few times, when I was working at a large, now defunct corporation, when this gentleman came in and he had all the skills, he had all the abilities, he had the education, he had everything they were looking for, and he thanked the interviewer profusely. He not only sent her a thank you note, he sent her flowers, and she would not hire him. And it's like, why won't you hire this guy? He has everything you're looking at, and looking for. And she said because he had little nubs on his collar, because you get some of those fabrics where after a while it kind of wears on the collar and you see these little nubs, and sure, he could have taken a little hand razor and shaved them off. I'm sure he didn't think about it. And I thought, how unfair is that? This guy has everything you want, and you noticed a few nubs on his collar, and it's like, and I thought, wow. So there are people, though, that will do that and dismiss someone for a reason. Maybe they look unkempt and their shoes are all messed up. I was interviewing a really nice young man one time, and he had just gotten out of college and he had no money. And he came in and he was trying to wear a suit. I'm not sure where he got it, but his belt had been old. And, you know, sometimes that the black color on it was just kind of getting bent, so you could see pieces of the brown leather in it. So I asked him if he would please let me have his belt. I took a black magic marker and I marked those spots so that nobody could tell that the belt was getting kind of crumbly. And that made all the difference. So it sounds really silly, but actually those things are very, very important. So always think of that and the things that you can do to shine, to stand out in attitude, in appearance, in what you say. And there's just a million that you find lots of things online. You can contact me, but it's a very tough job world out there. A lot of jobs have gone overseas. A lot of things have changed. And so what we need to do is to build each other up, to help each other, to help educate each other, to network with each other, to give each other any information that's going to help grow them, and it will grow you, and it'll be good for everybody. So again, thank you so much. I will continue on next time with an interview checklist that will really help you be comfortable in your career going forward. Thank you so much.